All right, welcome back, everybody, to another week of Sports 2.0 Network Golf Show. Justin Onken back with Grant Bale. Going to start with a little recap of last week, and it was a wild one. John basically waxed everybody for 3 days. We had a little rain on Thursday and Friday, and a bunch of guys had to finish on Saturday, and Ron tore it up at the beginning of Saturday, and all through the round. I had a 6-shot lead going into Sunday. Found out that he had tested positive walking off the 18th green and was going to be forced to withdraw.
Yeah, that was. I don't really know. It's hard to be in the camp that you wanted him to play on his own, just because you don't want to bend the rules just for one specific guy in one specific instance, or take the situation lightly, especially with how COVID has been in this country. But, thinking like a fan, it would have been nice to see him play by himself. It would have been kind of cool to see him go out and try to win, carry his own bag, and do something that's never been done. But it's a risk that you take if you're either not vaccinated or you're not doing the precautions that you should be doing, and being out there on the course like those guys are with the fans, with other people. It's just kind of part of it. And it sucks that it has to happen on the last day, or the third day of the 4-day tournament, on the last hole, going off with a 6-shot lead. How many times has this probably happened? And the fans don't know about it. Like of some guy who's in 60th, who's, on a Friday, it's obviously overblown because of his Jon Rahm. He might be literally the best player in the entire planet. But his momentum to play in the U.S. Open in 1 week is insane now, because now everybody thinks he's going to come back. He's going to just rage crazy hard. He's going to try to get his comeback win after that, and win his first major.
Yeah, it sucks for him. I felt horrible. I was sitting there watching it live, and it looked like somebody just told him, somebody had died, and we didn't know what was going on. It was weird to watch. And then come to find out he's got to withdraw. That put Morikawa and Cantlay in, I think, a weird spot. It would have been weird for me to think, man, I'm down 6 to, I'm tied for the lead. As someone who was holding the Morikawa outright ticket, made me happy. Didn't turn out that way, as Cantlay beat him in a 1-hole playoff. But I don't know. All in all, it was a weird week. We came out a little slow last week. We didn't hit a ton of bets. We did go 2-0 on matchups. You hit a Patrick Reed top 20. And we got a little back talk from Xander. He made a bogey on 18 to miss the top 10. Scotty Scheffler finished third. I mean, Spieth really didn't play too bad. I think he finished in the top 25.
Yeah,
that kind of is what it is. That's Spieth's worst finish in weeks. So,
yeah, that bet actually turned out exactly like I thought it would be, where both guys missed the cut. Is turned into a matchup between those two guys, and I loved having Spieth with plus money. We just so happened to catch a really good golf player when he played really well, and Spieth didn't go crazy. So sometimes you got to take those. Xander didn't hit the green from 100 yards out on 18, 100 yards, and we bogeyed, and we ended up losing. So that was just a kick to the wrong place. But we're back, and this weekend has a lot of opportunities.
Yeah, that's one way to put it. This week is the Palmetto Championship at Congaree Golf Club. This is the first time the tour has ever been to Congaree Golf Club, because this tournament is a fill-in for the RBC Canadian Open. With COVID and everything going on, crossing the border with all these people, Canada was just not having it. So we decided to go to South Carolina to a relatively new course. I think it's only been around 4 years. And based on all the people that have played there, all the ambassadors, as they call them, not members, it's extremely unique. It has a South Carolina feel, but does not play that way. It's really, really long, par 71, 7,655 yards, some super long par 4s and par 5s. By all accounts, the course is designed to play super fast, super firm. Not going to play quite as long as 7,600 yards when you get all the rollout. Bermuda everywhere. This is going to be. I'm going to lean into the Bermuda players this week. I think you're going to have to be a pretty long hitter. I know that the ball is going to roll out some, but man, those holes are long. I don't care how much it's rolling out. The long hitters are going to have an advantage. There's no rough. It's similar to me. I'm kind of confident to Pinehurst. Now we don't get to play Pinehurst that often, so we don't. It's hard to comp it. But in terms of my head, there's no sand there's no rough at Pinehurst either. You just go straight into the sand, and so there's big runoffs around the greens that are going to be really difficult to chip from. But maybe guys can get their putter out. If the greens really, really get firm, hitting and staying on the right portions of these greens might become a pretty tough task. Normally, I'd go straight to all my really, really good ball strikers, but you pull up the odds board, and the really good ball strikers are MIA.
Yes, they're not there. And I want to make one note on the course before I move on is that the no rough sounds good when you're looking at some of these players until you start to watch and those balls are rolling into the sand.
Yeah,
those balls don't always just roll down the fairway. Sometimes they do. I mean, obviously the big hitters, they can get them if they hit them straight. But that runoff is going to sometimes go into that fairway side sand, and those guys are going to have to either lay up or have a challenging shot into even thinner and harder ground that's up there by those firm and fast greens. So it's going to be interesting to see who can hold greens, who can just kind of stay conservative and just put their ball in the right spot.
Yeah, it's tough because we just have never seen the course. Very few guys that are even playing there have seen the course. They have had rain, which means it's not going to be quite as firm, at least on Thursday, I would think. And if it's not firm, 7,600 yards is long. That's really, really long. It's one of the longest courses they will play all year. I'm going to lean long hitters. There's not a lot to look at in this field. We got Brooks and DJ up top, and then a few Euro guys. But we got the U.S. Open next week, and everybody's either gearing up for that or they had to Monday qualify for the U.S. Open on Monday, and they withdrew from this tournament. And the field is not good. It's one of the worst fields you'll see. I mean, if DJ and Brooks were not here, it would be the worst field.
Yeah, an interesting approach that I'm going to take this week, and you'll see it in as soon when we go over my outrights and yours too, obviously, is that the odds for certain guys are not priced on or not set at their ability. It's set on their relative ability to the players that they're playing with.
Yeah.
So on a normal board, you're seeing the back half guys have very little chance because there's so many guys in front of them who have a way better chance of just playing better. That's why the top guys are always priced so low. It's not necessarily because the books think that person's going to win. It's more so that person just has a better chance than anybody. If he plays well, it's a wrap. Justin Thomas is the prime example of this.
Yeah.
If he hits the fairway and he putts well, he'll win every single golf tournament he plays in. It just happened. Morikawa is turning into that type of golfer. Now you take those guys out, right? We only have the two guys, and those two guys aren't even. Well, Brooks just played well, but Dustin's not even in that good of form right now.
Yeah.
And now you're moving all those back tier guys up into the middle tier. So now all the back tier guys who are coming in have a better chance at winning because the guys in front of them aren't as good as what you're normally used to having the guys in front. Those guys' chances have dropped relative to what the field usually is. So I'm okay with taking bombs this week. If they're going to win, it's going to be now. But take that all with a grain of salt. Bombs are bombs for a reason. It's because they don't ever win, or they have won 10 years ago, right?
Yeah.
But if you want to hit one, if you want to look back and say, hey, I hit 100-1 one week, it could happen, at an event like this.
Yeah. I mean, in a normal week, you get this top chunk of guys in the 12 to 25 to 1 range who win most of the golf tournaments when they're there. And then you usually have a nice middle class from 25 to 60-ish that, are super talented guys who maybe haven't won recently or just haven't won yet. Both of those tiers are gone. They're just gone. There's a little bit of a top tier you get, like we talked about, DJ and Brooks, Hatton and Fitzpatrick, and Sung Jae up at the top. But then from there down, it is slim pickings. So the talent drop off that you would normally see, a couple different layers of talent drop off, is not there. There's one talent drop off. You get those top 6 or so guys, and every single other person down to about, I don't know, 250 to 1 are pretty similar. I mean, some guys have more wins than others, I guess, just by happenstance, I would say. But the talent, I mean, all these guys are obviously super talented, but they're on the lower tier of tour guys. But
yeah, and it's that back half of the top tier. That's where we're looking at the difference, because it's hard to get out of that tier normally when you look at it, because if one of those guys plays really well, or a couple of them do, it really just wipes out like the rest of the field, because they can't keep.
You saw that last week. Ron,
they can't keep up.
And Cantlay all played really well, and they just walked away from everyone. So.
Right, and the only guy who kept up with him, Scotty Scheffler, who was the rookie of the year last year, who was an absolute maniac stud, and he's fighting to get a win too, and he still couldn't get it because 3 players played better than him. So now you exit those people out. The chances of that group going bonkers or going higher is lower, and now you move in a bunch of what you would say maybe not as good golfers into the realm of possibilities to win. Yeah,
so let's get into some outrights. I think there's a smidge of value if you want to go up top. It's just really hard to know.
Super hard.
Where everybody's focus is with the U.S. Open next week. Like, I'm definitely not betting DJ at that number or Brooks. But I like Sung J M at 20 to 1. I shopped it a little. I found it at 16. I saw it at 18, and then I found 20 on FanDuel. Sungjae hasn't been in the best form. He hasn't been terrible. Basically, every time we've played Bermuda, he's done well, which is kind of his game. I mean, his one win came on Bermuda. He seems to play well when we go to the Southeast. I'm just gonna take the fact that he is significantly more talented than a large portion of this field, and hope he's trying to take advantage of one of the few weeks we got left. For a while on Bermuda, and he hits it plenty long. He can really, really get hot with his irons. His best putting surface is by far Bermuda. He's got the short game to deal with the runoffs. I like the talent. This is a talent play. If I can get a guy at 20, which is normally where I'm going anyways for my first outright or so, on a guy who's maybe the 6th or 7th most talented player in the field, and the drop off after the first 10 is pretty significant. I like it.
Yeah, it's good. I like it too, because him, just like you said, talent wise, stacks up with a lot of really, really good players. And if you could put him up in a group where a lot of that talent is now gone, and that top talent that we should be afraid of, right, are guys that we're not too keen on this week because it's a week before the major. I like it. I'm going to go with Patton Kizzire at 40 to 1. Patton Kizzire is a Alabama native, so he's going to be right here in the Southeast region. He's a Bermuda specialist. He always has been his whole career. He has 2 career wins, so I'm not worried about him, being afraid or not having any pedigree to win. And he's putted and hit his irons 3 weeks in a row well now. And he didn't play – outside of the Memorial. He didn't play well at the Memorial, but right before that, he was playing super well, and that included 2 top 15s. When you look at his numbers as far as proximity, he's really good when he stacks up in the field against long proximity like irons, so like 200 proximity or 150 to 1 or 175 and up, like those types of things. And like you said, we're going to have those holes where the rollout's going to give you some extra length, but the course itself, it's still long. So those shots are still going to be there. We're going to need somebody who can really strike the ball. And he's a guy where he's going to need to hit the fairway. He's going to need to not lose off the tee. He's going to have to, hang with the big boys or hang with the tour average kind of. And no rough this week, like we said, the rollout. I think that'll give him a chance to actually compete. If he plays well, I think we'll be right there. Yeah,
I mean, he's shown that he can win. If I'm going to play Patton Kizzire, it's definitely going to be on Bermuda in the southeast portion of our country.
Right.
So, I don't hate that. It's a decent number considering the field.
I'd like to believe he may have played it. I have no idea, but I'd like to think guys down here have played it before or have an idea of talking to people who have played before.
Yeah, I mean, he's a Sea Island guy.
Right.
And so is JT Poston. And Poston's one of
Right.
the so-called ambassadors. He's played here a few times. So I would assume he's played
Right.
it at least a little bit.
Like Harris English is another one, right? Like he's probably played it too, I would assume.
Yeah.
I don't know, though.
Yeah, that leads straight into my next outright. Lucas Glover, 45-1. This is the ultimate sucker bet. He's one of the ambassador members of this course. He's played it a few times. I'm okay with taking Glover too. He's got some wins. He's similar to Kazire, where it's like he doesn't win that often, but he's not bad. He's been playing some decent golf for Lucas Glover. His off the tee numbers, around the green numbers are pretty good. He ranks in the top 15 in this field over the last 24 rounds in both of those categories. He popped like 6th in my model, and he was like 6th in strokes gained total over the last 24 rounds, just period, in the field. That says a lot about the field, more so than it says about Lucas Glover, but it kind of shows you, like, you take somebody who has a little bit of win equity, Glover, Kazire, guys who won at least once or twice, have some experience on tour, and guys who like this area, of the world. I mean, some guys just play well in Southeast on these types of courses. Glover hits it pretty far too. I'm pretty happy about that. He can get pretty poor with the putter, but he's okay on Bermuda. He's a little bit better on Bermuda, so I'm going to lean with him, hitting it out there pretty far and having that a little bit extra experience, because there's not much. There's very little.
Right. That definitely matters. I mean, it helps with your decision making. A couple wrong decisions here and there can really take a guy out of it, not only like actually with numbers, but mentally, right? They get frustrated. Their caddy and them aren't together. If you have a guy who just comes in, knows what he's doing, has a plan, it's always going to be a plus, because a lot of guys are thinking like, I don't even know what I'm doing this week, and one of those guys could be Tyrrell Hatton. Tyrrell Hatton has barely played because he just had a kid.
He got married.
Got married. Sorry, got married. Has barely played. His comments earlier this week was talking about how he just started playing like Wednesday of last week. He played a couple rounds. He just wants to come out and hit a couple good shots. Well, if he's never even seen the course and doesn't know what he's doing, and he hasn't played, I guess talent could bring him through. Obviously, that's with any golfer. You never know. But I like a guy with a plan. I like a guy with experience here.
Yeah. I don't hate it at all. I mean, I think you got a bomb for us. I'm not opposed to bombs this week. If you're going to go bomb, if you're going to go shooting some bombs off, this would be the week to do it.
I got 100-1 bomb. And I just want to encourage people who bet in here, like, pick guys that you think are, pick guys like we said, like Southeastern players who can play good, who are up there. It doesn't have to be, this exact bet of Camilo Villegas, but pick guys who have a chance. And because the chances are higher this week now that we're playing in this area that's kind of unknown. My pick personally is Camilo Villegas, and that's at 100-1. He has 3 career wins. He's made 5 cuts in his last 7 events, and that's along with 4 top 25s in those cuts. He's a good Bermuda putter, and he's always been good with his irons and his wedges, and particularly his wedges. He's been good around the green his whole life. He's always been like that. So if things get tough around the green, where the hard surfaces, where the wedges are biting into the grass, and you don't really know what's going to happen, we're kind of unknown in this area right now, especially what it's going to look like. Our guy's going to be putting off the green. I don't know. I like him in this situation, and if he gains off the tee, I think he'll have a chance, just like kind of like Pat Kazire. And if these fairways are wide enough to give him a chance to really roll his ball out there and not play out of the trees or play in the rough, if he's just ball striking, Camilo Villegas is going to have a chance, and 100-1 is pretty good.
Yeah, I don't hate it. It's tough this week. When I was doing my research for my article, which you can check out on USA Wager, trying to find anyone that's in even remotely decent form or has some kind of ball striking form is like impossible task. Like, it's literally
2 of them coming up.
You go look, and it's pretty rough. But, I've got a top 10 this week, and it is very simple. Matt Fitzpatrick plus 150. Matt Fitzpatrick falls in the Sung Jae theory of I'm just going to take somebody who's actually good and just hope that they're really trying to get their game in form for next week. Fitzpatrick is an awesome short game player. If the greens get super, super firm and hard to hold, and you have to chip a bunch and and hole out putts for par. I love Fitzpatrick there. And something crazy, I ran my model on Fantasy National. Matt Fitzpatrick is first in this field in strokes gained off the tee.
I saw that earlier.
He's the ultimate bunter. I have no idea what he's been doing to gain that many. I assume he's added some length that maybe people aren't talking about, and he's been in the fairway a bunch, I would guess, because he's a little
pudgy. He's probably putting a little more weight into it.
I was shocked. I was like, all right, well, if we're gonna go to a course where I think that's gonna matter, plus his short game, the talent's there. So I'll just ride him and take my shot.
If Fitzpatrick gets his USA win on a course that isn't like other USA courses, wouldn't it be fitting?
A Euro style or Australian style?
Yes.
Yeah, that'd be hilarious.
I'm going to look back and be like, well, that makes sense. It's not on a course like anything they ever play, right? I love it.
Yeah. You got some top 20s for us. You're skipping out on top 10s this week, which I don't.
Skipping out on top 10s. It's going to be incredibly difficult to hit top 10s. I don't hate, like you said, I love Matt. Matt Fitzpatrick is like 1,000 times better than everybody in the field besides three guys. So I love that. But I have Scott Stallings at a top 20 for 250, so 2.5 to 1. Stallings is a model guy, kind of just like you were saying. He just kind of pops in all the kind of things that we're looking for this week. He's awesome on an approach, specifically from long distances. He's made 4 straight cuts with a top 30 and a top 5. I always like guys who have contended, not even contended, but like been up there recently. They have kind of that's like a pretty big confidence booster. I definitely want going into an event like this. You need guys who are going to be able to hit the greens and hold the greens. And Scott Stallings is a ball striker who's playing really well right now. I think he's going to give himself opportunities, and I want opportunities to do well, because some of these guys down there, it could become Thursday afternoon and you have no opportunities. They're just not doing anything.
Yeah.
So I have a little bit of faith in Scott Stallings, and 250 to 1 is pretty good because he's been playing decently well.
Yeah. Also a bomber. Hits it far.
Yeah. Yeah, it does hit it far.
I am ready to be hurt again by Doc Redman. Top 20 plus 250. I have probably lost more money on Doc Redman than any team player, anything that I've ever bet on in my life. If you ran a model for the last 12 months, Doc Redman popped every single time because his approach numbers were always so good. He's a really, really good iron player last year. He had some good finishes. I didn't miss every week, obviously, but he had some nice finishes. We had him close at like 80 to 1 at that the event Jim Herman won. I also was on Horschel, and Billy Horschel putted his way to ripping my heart straight out of my body. But
up there.
Yeah, but Doc is a good ball striker. The weird thing is, recently he's made his last 3 cuts. He has a couple decent finishes. He's not exactly on fire, but that's a lot better than he was the last month or so. And he's been doing the things that he didn't always do well. He's been gaining off the tee. He hits it far, but he never was really very straight. But he's been gaining off the tee, and he's been gaining putting. He's gained putting in 4 of his last 5. He was kind of a tough watch putting last year when he was ball striking his way into the top 20, top 30. So my kind of thought is the fairways are going to be wider. It's going to give him a chance to get the ball out there in the fairway. Right. He just needs to show a little bit of iron form to go with that putting, and he'll be right there. I mean, he's definitely got the game. He's more talented than some of these guys around. And plus 250 in this week, I'll take my Doc Redman shot again.
Yeah, I mean, I've I've been right here. I've heard this, many a times. So I'm excited. I hope that he does well for you. I will not be jumping on the train back with you probably until
he's also a Clemson guy. He's also a Clemson guy. So
I actually didn't know that.
He's a Carolina guy for whatever that's worth. He's a decent Bermuda putter comparatively to the other surfaces.
He will finish right outside the bet that you place. It just happens every single time.
Yeah. You bet top 10 and he finishes 14th. So
I have a top 30. So instead of going 10 and 20 like you did, I'm going 20 and 30. And this will be reflected on our sheet. I'll have a little note that says 20 and 30 instead with the odds. So I have Johnny Vegas. Johnny Vegas is pretty unheard of golfer. If you're a casual golf fan, but I got 150 top 30 for Johnny Vegas. Johnny Vegas hits it far and just is a ball striking machine. Like I said, I like to have guys who will give me the opportunity, right? He might not make every putt. He might not do everything like you think you want him to do, but he's going to at least have the opportunity to be there, right? And he's going to hit it really far. He's a big dude. If you're watching him on TV, he's like a big dude who just like puts everything he has into the shot.
Yeah.
And when I said he's a bad putter, but I looked it up today, his best surface of the bad putting is Bermuda. So if you have a chance, right, it's going to maybe come on this surface, which is always what you're hoping for. If you just get a blip in the putting, you have a chance to win pretty much any week. He's made 9 cuts of his last 10 events with 4 top 30s. So he's playing pretty well.
Yeah.
He's always been a guy that he's always kind of around on the back end, right? You just kind of see his name all the time. But he's never really up there. He's never really cashing you money. But
he'll be 6 under through 10 and shoot
right.
70.
100%.
Yeah.
But I think the field where you don't have as many ball strikers in the field, he's one. He's not up there with the elites, but he's pretty elite in this field. Like in the modeling, he ranks out like super high. I like to just have a guy who's going to give me opportunities. Him top 30. Hopefully he can kind of hover around that range, and then Sunday he'll jump into it.
I wrote a DraftKings focused article for a client this week that Johnny Vegas made an appearance in. So I'm on the bomber ball striker guys this week. So
his name is Johnny Vegas. Come on. How do you not like him?
Ride it all the way. Okay, matchups this week. After my rant last week, I just decided I'm going to start shopping like crazy. So I bounced around William Hill, FanDuel, DraftKings, Bet Rivers, all of them. There's not a lot out there, but FanDuel surprisingly had quite a few. And I found Keith Mitchell basically minus 112 over Kevin Kisner. Kisner makes me a bit nervous going to Bermuda in a place that I think he's played a couple times, but he has been awful. He's missed like 4 of his last 5 cuts, and his only other finish was 40th, I think, last week, where he lost 6.4 strokes on approach. So talk about a fluke week. And Kisner admittedly does not play well on long courses, and this course is as long as it gets. Mitchell is a really, really streaky guy. He's had some really good finishes. He has a win on tour on a pretty tough course in Florida. He hits it super, super far, and he's a pretty good putter. So that's kind of where I'm headed this week with that. Basically straight up against a guy who's been struggling to make a single cut. I'll take it.
Yeah, I like it. Like you said, you have to shop around. These past couple of weeks have been really bad with the books that us two in particular, have been using here in Illinois. If you have other books, if you have other matchups, look and look and look, because if you stick to one, you're screwed. You're going to get killed by the book. So I really like it. He hits it super far. He kind of fits the mold that we've been talking about this entire show. Guys that hit it far and guys who are going to give themselves opportunities to make putts. Because if you don't even give yourself the opportunity, then you have no chance. Yeah. I have an easy matchup here because we've already talked about both these guys. I'm going with 2 top tier guys in the thing, and that's Matthew Fitzpatrick over Tyrrell Hatton, and that's minus 110. Tyrrell Hatton is really, 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 really good, and I wouldn't necessarily always bet against him. I actually wouldn't. I probably have done that less than 5 times in my entire betting career. But Matt Fitzpatrick, I think he just sets up for this course. I really like him, and like we said last week about, or not last week, about 10 minutes ago or so, Hatton, is that he just got married. I don't think he's in the right headspace. He's playing next weekend in the major, so I don't know if he's going to be using this as particularly to try to win. Maybe it could be just like a try some shots, get back into shape, and then be ready for the U.S. Open. So I like Fitzpatrick over Hatton. I just like the better approach to this week with Fitzpatrick. And minus 110 is not that bad, especially with the guy with Fitzpatrick. He's just really, really good. And you said he's gaining off the tee. Actually, not even gaining. He's number 1, which is crazy. So if he's going to continue to do that and have the round the green game and have the iron play that he does, he's going to be right up there on the top, like near the top of the leaderboard. And I'll take that any day with a matchup.
Yeah. Margins are back this week, are they not?
They are back. I would love to have an answer as to why they got taken off last week. I have no idea why, but they're back. And not only that, the 1-stroke winner has moved up to 275. So we're getting an extra 25 cents on your bet or on your dollar. But I think that's probably because of the field strength. Usually field strengths, you have guys who, the margins are higher. We know that, but we don't know anything about this event. We know nothing. We know absolutely nothing. And we know when that's the case, we go with 1-stroke and 2-stroke. That's just the old trustee. That's what the majority of all the golf tournaments end in 1-stroke or 2-stroke. We're betting it again this week. 1-stroke 275, 2-stroke 350. So if we can get a guy play really well on Sunday, get up by 2, make a par, make a birdie, who knows, get in 3. Maybe if they're up by 3, we can even root for a bogey coming in, right? That's always fun. So we're going margin winner. We're back this week. It's a good way to spice up the tournament, especially when there's a lot of names if you're a casual fan that you don't even know who the hell's playing it.
Yep. Most people are not going to watch this to start with. And the people who do find it flipping around on Sunday are probably going to ask themselves, who the hell is this guy? Because
why is Lucas Glover in first?
Who the hell is Vincent Whaley? That's the
I
golfer I'm betting this week. Vincent Whaley. Sorry, Vincent, but you definitely qualify for the bad golfer.
Yes, he does.
You basically
not recently though.
Yeah, he doesn't have a lot of upper tier success on tour, but he has made 9 straight cuts. He does not have a single top 10 in 9 straight cuts, but he has 8 finishes between 15th and 36th. So I'm in on a top 30 at plus 190. He's just been really, really solid. And if you pull up his numbers, he's been not crazy solid in any one category. He's been decent all the way around, depending on the event. He's not a super long hitter, which makes me a bit nervous going to a long course, but hopefully it'll dry out. He can get some rollout. And I just like the floor. In a field where this is just a literal crapshoot, because any of these guys can get lightning hot with a putter for one round or just super ice cold. His floor for the last 2 months has been pretty solidly in the top 40. So top 30 plus 190, even top 40 plus 120, it's not a bad place. I kind of like it quite a bit.
Yeah, I like it. You and I talked about this earlier in the week. I was going to have him on mine if you didn't use him. So we're both on board with Vincent Whaley. It's so funny that everybody's like, "Oh, Vincent Whaley's playing so well." He has yet to hit a top 10 in this run, which is crazy. It's like, well,
I think he's got 1 top 20. I think he has 8 plus finish.
Yeah, it's crazy. And so he really just like
play him in DraftKings. Do not play him in DraftKings because scroll Twitter. Every single person is on him and Hank Lebiota. Do not play either of them in DraftKings because it's too much of a crapshoot to have that high of ownership percentage. But top 30, top 40, maybe a matchup if you get somebody who stinks also.
I saw a matchup with him and Luke List, and he was plus money in that, so that's not a bad matchup either.
I kind of like Luke List. Luke List bombs it, so I'm not opposed to Luke List if you're going somewhere this week. But
well,
all right,
what you can get.
Best bet for this week. Who do you got?
I got 2 of them. So my real best bet is Patton Kizzire top 20, and it's a 188. So it's almost at 2. It's a little right under. And I have all those things from earlier, right, that I talked about him at 40 to 1 to win. And that's he's an Alabama native, Southeast guy. He's been playing awesome. He's been putting really well here recently. And in the long proximity iron player is going to really fit this week. Match that with him being in the area. I love it. But I have a special one just for you, Justin, and that's John Pock, top 30. John Pock is an amateur player out of Florida State, and it's top 33 plus 350. Okay, I have a little bit of information to share with you about this. Not only did he make the cut at the U.S. Open last year, right? That's the one kind of thing we've seen of him on tour. He's a Florida kid, so he moved to Orlando, and he's been before he went to Florida State, and he's been playing these types of southeastern courses or southern courses for a long time. He's the 3rd ranked amateur in the world. He has 22 top 10s and 36 USGA events. 22.
It's pretty good.
Of the last 36 USGA events that he's played in. Okay. And I have a recent little schedule here for you. So this is like his last 8 events. Okay, I'm going to go through them real quick.
Like college events?
His last events that he's played in.
Yeah.
So the Seminole Classic Intercollegiate Classic, which is down in Florida, he got 2nd. Next one was the Cabo Collegiate Classic, which was in TPC San Antonio. He got 3rd, right? Another Southern course. Then he goes and plays the next course again in Florida, 3rd. The next course again in Florida, 1st. He got 1st. Move on to the ACC Championship for Florida State. He gets 5th, and that was in Florida again. Then he moves up to Tallahassee Regional in Florida again, right? He got 4th. He then moves on to the next one. It's in Georgia, and he gets 5th. So he's just going crazy in this area, right? He's just been dominating amateur events He went on to play in the Scottsdale stroke play event, for if you watched NCAA championships. He ended up getting 5th in stroke play, and then they compete in match play, whatever. But I love being early on these guys. I think he's really good. He should ball strike his way into an opportunity here. Like I said, I kind of went through all the stuff. He knows the area. He knows the style of golf, and he's going to be comfortable on Bermuda grass. I love him at a top 30. 350 is awesome.
Yeah, you could do way, way worse than a guy who's just dominated his senior year.
Right.
So,
right.
My best bet is Garrick Higgo. That is Higgo. He is a Euro guy.
Higgo.
Candidly, I don't know much about Higgo at all. I saw a couple people talking about him coming over. This is one of the very first events he's played on the PGA Tour. So I went and did a little research. He's got 2 wins in his last 3 starts on the European Tour and 2 other top 10s in his last 5. He's clearly playing really, really well. Obviously, he's talented. If you're winning on the European Tour, you're obviously super, super talented.
Where's he from?
Over here to a course that a lot of the guys are kind of comping to some Euro courses where you got to keep it on the ground, let the ball roll out, putt from off the green. He should feel comfortable with that. That's one of the things I kind of worry about with the Euro guys coming over here is these courses are quite a bit different and it takes a while to get comfortable. This shouldn't be such an adjustment. And clearly he's talented. He's more talented than a significant portion of the guys in this field. I feel comfortable saying that. So plus 188 on the top 20. I kind of like it. Like you said, being early on a guy, I like being early on Higgo. Maybe he finishes pretty high and he can, get some eligibility on tour, make some sponsor starts here coming up. We'll see.
Right. Yeah, it'll be fun to watch him. He's a name you've heard, just in the sport for a while. You just never really watched him because we don't really watch a lot of Euro Tour golf, besides when it takes over Golf Channel when it turns off.
Right.
So I'm interested to see him play. I'm interested to watch him, play multiple holes in a row. He's South African, I believe. Yes, he's from South Africa.
South African.
So he should have a chance just as good as anyone. I mean, why not? Let's take a couple bombs. I'm gonna go through all this. We say all this. I'm gonna take more bombs than this. So I want if you're gonna place bets, be a little, have a little fun this week, right? You never know what you can hit. Don't go too crazy though, because it's a little unpredictable.
That my last piece of advice is tread carefully because this could get really, really funny. So, all right, guys, good luck. We'll see you next week for the U.S. Open. We'll have a nice show for that. So, see everybody next time.
See ya.